New economic sanctions imposed by the United States against Venezuela derail talks between the government of Nicolas Maduro and the opposition. What is the path forward for Caracas? Hi everyone, I'm Sean Caleb sitting in for Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. Since the beginning of the year, Venezuelans have faced a unique situation. Opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself the legitimate president of the country and was recognized as such by roughly 50 nations. But Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is still in charge, despite international pressure, especially from the United States, which imposed severe economic sanctions this month. From Caracas, CGTN's Stephen Gibbs takes a closer look at this impasse.
Stalemate is one word that's been used to describe the current situation in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro still appears firmly in charge here. But he presides over an economy in dire straits. This country is experiencing one of the deepest recessions recorded anywhere in the world. And waiting in the wings is the young opposition leader, Juan Guaido, who's recognized as the legitimate president of Venezuela by the United States and around 50 other countries. Guaido attempted to foment a military uprising this past April. It failed. What followed was a sharp crackdown against government critics, with several members of the opposition-controlled parliament, which is currently powerless, having their immunity lifted and some imprisoned.
Yes, I am.
Then, earlier this month, the Trump administration further tightened the screws on the already reeling economy by announcing an embargo on all trade with the Maduro government.
This now covers everything having to do with the government of Venezuela, every aspect of it, and perhaps even more importantly, extends the authority to impose sanctions on all those who cooperate or assist or support any element of the government of Venezuela.
China, a major lender and investor in Venezuela, is among several countries that have criticized the US move, but it is in part abiding with it. It's been reported that scheduled August deliveries of oil from Venezuela to China have been suspended. President Maduro insists that US pressure will not achieve its aims. This month he organized a petition against the sanctions, and he's been escalating his criticism of Guaido.
All this economic aggression against our finances, trade, food, the medicine of the Venezuelan people, all this evil has been requested and openly supported by this bandit, this treacherous worm of the homeland called Juan Guaido, and I denounce it before the world.
Juan Guaido has remained defiant.
Here we stand. If you want to continue with persecution, imprisonment, torture, harassment, threat, you can do it. Today you have the brute force, but you are not convincing anyone.
The heightened rhetoric has brought to a halt, for the time being, negotiations between the two sides.
Talks were taking place in Barbados in an attempt to find a way out of the crisis, most likely via new presidential elections. But Maduro withdrew his negotiating team in protest at US sanctions. Meanwhile, the vice president of the ruling Socialist Party, Diosdado Cabello, has suggested that parliamentary elections may be brought forward, a plot, the opposition says, that's designed to hold a fraudulent vote. And there's since been a further twist to this, with reports from US officials that Mr. Cabello himself is discussing with the Trump administration, via an intermediary, possible post-Maduro scenarios. So this may look like a stalemate, but it does seem that plenty is going on behind the scenes. Stephen Gibbs, CGTN, Caracas.